Now it is time for me to tell you the story of Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros, and we are getting into the thick of it. So, just to reiterate, like Fantasia, they're not narrative, but unlike Fantasia, they're a little more narrative. The first segment we see is Donald Duck in, and I'm gonna be an adult about this, I don't need to make 5th grade jokes. Donald Duck in Lake Titicaca. He observes the local customs as a shitty tourist, such as getting altitude fever, gawking at locals, being gawked at by locals, property damage, and wacky hijinks. Following this, the universally reviled Pedro the Mail Plane, which takes place in Chile. What sets it in Chile besides a brick shithouse mountain and 5 seconds of a condor? Hey, listen. Don't worry about it. We promise it's in Chile. Once upon a time, there was a papa plane, a mama plane, a baby plane, and baby's got to deliver the mail. Nobody cares. Except for Pipo, famous Chilean cartoonist, who hates it so very much that he goes ahead and in response creates the most iconic Chilean character ever of all time, Condorito, a little anthropomorphic Andean condor who gets into all sorts of wacky adventures. I suppose you're wondering why I got off on this tangent, huh? It's because nobody cares about Pedro the airplane.
Even Pedro doesn't really care about himself. He's just like, fun, take me. I'm gonna fall into oblivion.
Whatever.
Especially once, like, he delivers the mail and it's like, wish you were here postcard. That was meant to be such a funny, like, punchline payoff.
Oh, isn't that great?
But it just like, you know what? It's
Some
kind of
mail isn't important.
It's kind of the mood of 2020. Honestly, it's just like all this work, all this effort, and you're not even liking it. You're just like dreading the entire experience, and then at the very end, it's just like, oh, well.
God, I feel that.
It's just you sit in silence for a few minutes, just staring down at this postcard.
Mm-hmm.
Not even funny.
Let's fly away from Pedro the airplane for a minute, all the way to the Pampas of Argentina, where we see our standard Goofy explains a thing style cartoon, where the thing Goofy explains this time is the similarity between the Argentinian gaucho and the American cowboy. Watch him get dressed, be outsmarted by the worst looking horse ever, wrangle an ostrich, have the best looking barbecue I've ever seen, and perform traditional folk dances with his horse. This is my second favorite skit, right above Lake Titicaca, which is not in Nicaragua. Sorry, Beavis. That's it. That's my one Titicaca joke. It's a Beavis and Butthead joke.
Okay. For all you, this one goes out to all you Beavis and Butthead fans out there. We love you. We see you, and we know you, and we love you.
When you were upset when Beavis said, I am from Lake Titicaca in Nicaragua, and you knew that Lake Titicaca was not in Nicaragua, we heard you, and we wanted to bring it to the front.
Now let's not say Lake Titicaca anymore, because I don't trust you to not just start laughing like a preschooler.
I will not laugh like a... Listen, I only laughed like a preschooler at one thing, and I'm still laughing at it. Okay. Finally, we're exposed to probably the best Disney short we've ever seen yet. It's the fullest realization of pure fantasy unfolding to music, and I like it more than any Fantasia segment.
Ooh.
We see exactly what the title promises us. Aquarela do Brasil. A watercolor of Brazil being formed right in front of our eyes. We see the landscape, the rivers, the ocean, the jungles, the city, and people spring forth from the brush. We see the creation of Jose Carioca, who politely introduces himself to Donald Duck, taking him out on the town. There, he gets him absolutely toasted in order to teach him about the rhythm of the samba. And we see the paintbrush return to literally use their revelry to paint the samba into existence. It's gorgeous. This is my favorite segment in the whole film. And if I could, I would make just Aquarela do Brasil my number one Disney film so far. Unfortunately, that's not how this works. But just know that in my heart, right above Fantasia is Aquarela do Brasil. Just the one segment.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I was looking at it at the critical reviews and stuff, and I think people were saying that if they were tempted to release Aquarela do Brasil as just one like a segment in itself, but they knew they couldn't, because if they released it alone and then had all the other segments together, then the other segments wouldn't do nearly as well. Like, they would tank. Like, they admitted that if they were just to do Aquarela do Brasil like just on its own, then it would just be like the other.
Yeah, nobody would care.
Yeah, because that's how good it is. That's like, they literally, like, the marketing team knew. They were like, this is another level. Like, seriously, like, if you haven't seen it, please go on YouTube, go somewhere and watch it, because it's so
please
freaking
watch
good.
Aquarela do Brasil. We're begging you.
Yeah, it's so pretty. I after we finish recording this, I'm probably gonna go watch it again because I love it so much. Anyway, yeah, go on.
Yes. From there, we move on from Saludos Amigos to the Three Caballeros.
Good job. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, this one, as you said, displays Donald getting some gifts from Jose. He sent Donald a bunch of gifts, including a home movie, which displays the first two segments. The first segment is about a penguin named Pablo, narrated by Abby's very handsome boyfriend, the Bishonen Cheshire Cat. I mean,
what?
Handsome Winnie the Pooh. I mean Tumblr Sexy Man.
Wait.
No, I mean...
You're talking about Sterling Holloway. I'm like, I am so confused.
The Stork.
Mr. Stork. Look out for Mr. Stork.
Yeah, it's the voice of Mr. Stork. He's back. And he's telling about Pablo the penguin.
And he's a professor.
He's Professor
Holloway.
Oh, his name escapes me right now.
Holloway.
Sterling Holloway.
Yeah.
That's a great name, Sterling Holloway.
It's a great name for a great voice. He has a great voice.
That's your favorite voice so far, isn't it?
I wouldn't say that.
Your favorite voice is Jose Carioca.
My favorite voice, yeah, I think my favorite voice is Joe Carioca's voice actor. I don't remember what his name is, but I mean, I don't know. It's close. I like the voice acting going on in these segments. The
voices are so good.
Except for Donald.
And you'll notice there's more credit to the voice actors than ever before.
Yay!
That's that union influence.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go on already.
Going on. Pablo the penguin hates being cold, leaves Antarctica to go up the coast of Chile to the equator in order to find a tropical island to live on. Once again, narrowly avoiding having to actually show anything in Chile other than the names and some cartoon images of some cities. The next segment takes us back to Brazil, and get comfy here in Brazil because apparently it's where all the stuff worth happening happens, and let me tell you, I am here for it.
Mm-hmm.
We're introduced to the birds of the Amazon, 2 toucans, and of course, the Araquan bird, whose defining trait is that he's not Woody Woodpecker, and he's not the Looney Tunes dodo. We promise he's not a current ripoff of currently popular wacky birds. We swear he's not Woody Woodpecker or the dodo. He's the Araquan, right?
Sure.
Right. I mean, it's not like they have to draw attention away from their competitors at Universal and Warner Brothers. That's ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous.
Don't be as ridiculous as the Araquan.
Right. This leads into the final tale on the tape of the Gauchito and El Burrito. Burrito as in small burro, not burrito as in a delicious Tex-Mex treat.
I knew you were gonna... I was like, I'm not gonna say anything because that's a dumb joke to make, but then I should have known that you were gonna make that dumb joke.
You should know that dumb jokes are my wheelhouse.
I was like, oh no. I could just feel it. I could feel the chill of, I know Nate's gonna make that stupid joke.
You knew. I'm so glad you know me so well that I'm going to say the dumbest thing possible.
Mm-hmm. I should have prevented it from happening somehow. Some way.
You just reach across and punch me in the face?
Yes. Oh, I would, yes. But I don't want to, hurt my back anymore.
Yeah, I took full advantage of that to say the dumbest joke possible.
Okay. I'll only allow that once. But proceed.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
The full-grown gaucho tells a rhyming story about how he wrangled, trained, and raced with a flying donkey when he was just a lad. Apparently racing a flying donkey is illegal, however, and he is forced to run away with his new friend, never to be seen again. The next gift Donald gets is a pop-up storybook containing a very tiny Jose Carioca. He's here, and he asks Donald if he's ever been to Bahia. And Donald says no. And Joe says, well, sucks to suck, I guess. He asks him this about 4 times, and then sings not just one whole-ass song about it, written by the same beautiful genius who wrote Aquarela do Brasil, Mr. Ari Barroso, but 2 whole-ass songs about it, praising Bahia over and over again. And then he asks him if he's ever been. And Donald says, have you ever been? And Joe says no. And I literally can't even begin to do justice to how funny this is.
It's excellent.
It's one of the best gags in both movies.
Yeah.
It's right up there with, I thought it was a mountain. No, I thought it was a tree. Maybe it's a mountain.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
So, naturally, they both go to Bahia, and they engage in the first ever Disney Animation Studios interaction between live action and animation, featuring Carmen Miranda's sister. Donald and Joe compete for her attention because they're both into human women, for some reason.
For some reason.
Eventually, this devolves into the opening scene of Mulholland Drive, a dance fight, and a Fleischer-esque wiggle dance extravaganza. In case you didn't notice, this is just about where it begins to go off the rails a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And let me go back just to for clarity's sake. But both fellas are pursuing Yaya, the cookie lady, but like for some reason, like Carioca, he is like doing it in a more kind of like sappy, like sentimental sort of way, and so for some reason it's just not like, it's not weird to me. It's more like what's his face from Bert from Mary Poppins, where he's like kind of pursuing Mary Poppins, but it's in more of a sweet way and not like a romantic situation way, whereas Donald is full on like rabid chasing after her, like unsettling. You know what I'm saying?
Feral.
Just feral, like absolutely feral. Like they're both pursuing her, but in some ways, like Carioca is like not doing it in like a creepy way, even though it should be creepy. It's not. I don't know.
Yeah, he's doing it in the smooth way, you know.
Yeah.
He's like complimenting her outfit and talking about her makeup, you know, and everybody's getting comfortable in the situation. Whereas Donald's like, "Hey, baby!"
It's like he's doing
you got
it
an
as
ass that won't quit.
Well, he's like Carioca's doing it more in like a I don't know, like an admirer sort of way, whereas Donald is like actively pursuing her, and it's just weird. It's so weird. I don't know why. Like, it's just not.
We'll break down the psychology of it.
It happens so many times that it, like, the first time it's not funny, but it's like, okay, obligatory, you know, joke here. But then the next like 5 times that it happens, it just starts progressively getting like negative funny, where it makes everything around it not funny.
It's kind of uncomfortable. And
yeah.
It's uncomfortable in a funny way now. But yeah, I almost forgot to mention, by the way, speaking of uncomfortable, Donald had to be shrunk down in order to fit into the pop-up storybook to go to Bahia. So he's got to inflate himself in order to get big again for his next present.
Stop.
That's not even the joke I was going to go for.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, note to self, do not mention them using an offensive word that rhymes with fidget.
Oh, yeah. But
now that you mention inflation.
No! Oh.
Anyways, the next present they open up comes from Mexico.
Oh my gosh.
And we know this because it says extra big on the tag, Mexico. Contained within is a cameo appearance from the soundtrack. And then, immediately after this, we are introduced to Panchito, a dandy rooster. He literally pops out, guns ablazing, screaming at the top of his lungs, welcoming them to Mexico. It is 43 minutes into the movie, and we've got the three Caballeros together for the first time. Panchito leading them in their theme song. He's just like, we're best friends now, here's your free hat. And a song I wrote about how we're all best friends now. Except for when we're horny, and here's a piñata. Also, we're best friends now. What do you mean we're not best friends? We all have matching hats. That's the energy of Panchito. That's what he gives off.
Oy vey.
And the theme song literally details that. Like, we're all best friends. Except for when there's a girl involved. Then it's every man for himself.
Mm-hmm. Literally.
That's literal.
It's just weird. Like, why? Just, like, why? Just make,
Stop going after human women.
Make girl birds.
And Daisy Duck existed at this time.
Oh my gosh.
Donald.
Come
Donald.
now.
We're very disappointed in you.
Rise above your first name.
Before okay, I'm just gonna gloss over that.
Yep.
Before they can bust the piñata, however, we have to learn the story of Los Posadas in an animatic. Time code 4635, we see the most terrifying illustration of a child I have ever seen in my life. When we finally learn the tradition of children going door to door with Mary and Joseph being turned away each time, it's time for Jose and Panchito to bond over being a dick to Donald with the piñata. Mm-hmm. We get a whole song animatic about the founding and the sights of Mexico City, plus a live-action animation interaction with a magic flying sarape, which also leads us to learn a number of Mexican folk dances from Mexico City to Veracruz. Speaking of going from one place to another, you remember when I said they were best friends until they got horny? Yep. Well, they visit Acapulco, and they see a bunch of girls in swimsuits. And Donald gets mad feral. And now they've got to go catch him. And I wish this wasn't so uncomfortable to watch, because it is gorgeous to watch. It's, technically speaking, the best interaction between animation and live action that we see in this movie. The blanket tug, the seesaw, the blanket tossing, the drop in the water. It's all great, gorgeous work. It looks incredible. And yet it has to be framed as Donald Duck is too horny to stop.
It lasts, so uncomfortably long, too. This is an entire scene that was planned out and executed seamlessly. It took them probably a long time to set up each individual shot, and throughout it all, they have to remember, oh yeah, I'm being chased by Donald Duck.
Chased by a cartoon duck who wants to grab me.
Oh my gosh, I'm being pursued by an aroused cartoon duck.
Oh, who wants to manhandle. I don't like this.
Who is a symbol, who's apparently a children's animation icon. Mm. It's just,
but yeah. They've really improved on the Donald Duck prototype.
Yeah, that's why I all those parts of Donald that's a good 35% of the Three Caballeros movie is just Donald going absolutely mad feral for human women and chasing them around different parts of Mexico. That's why I prefer Saludos Amigos, even though it has less narrative structure. It's come on. Come on, guys.
Yeah, but the reason I prefer Caballeros is because in terms of quality of production and quality of story, they don't quite surpass, none of them surpass or get close to surpassing Aquarela do Brasil, but everything else drags Saludos down for me so much that that boost in quality and that boost in cohesiveness just puts it a step above.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think that the Lake Titicaca Inca segment was that bad.
It wasn't bad.
I thought that was entertaining. And I liked the sections of like where it was the documentary of like the animators and then showing the sketches. I liked that a lot too.
Yeah, that's always interesting.
Yeah, I wanted more of that.
There's a whole documentary. You'd probably like it. It's really good. I enjoyed it very much. Walt and El Grupo, and they show like all the background footage. In order to satiate Donald's uncontrollable hunger,
no.
Joe and Panchito introduce him to a singing head suspended in space. Then Donald moves like a hummingbird through neon flowers, and the girl's head is in a flower. Then Jose and Panchito, let's just say this is where it goes all the way off the rails. Let's just say that, because if I describe everything that happens next, I'm gonna go bananas. It's a real bruh moment. You know what I mean?
It's like trying to describe pink elephants on parade, where it's just like full on psychedelic. We're gone. We've departed.
I will say this. There's a moment where Donald is a flower, and a harsh male voice whispers to him over and over, "Pretty girls, pretty girls."
Oh yeah,
I
forgot about that. I forgot that actually happens.
There's a very pretty cactus witch who casts a curse of stop being horny on Donald via traditional style of dance.
And I just need to, again, clarify for everyone, all the 5 people who are listening, this is actually what happens. We're not embellishing anything or, trying to make it sound funny. This is legitimately beat for beat what happens. And there's more than what happens.
There's a bullfighting fireworks sequence where, for some reason, Panchito begins doing semaphore flag signaling. And then it just ends.
And then it just ends, and there's no explanation. There's no context. There's just Donald and his friends. There's just
Don and the boys having their Disney peyote vision.